What if I told you your mind was being controlled by someone else? What if I said your life is constantly being misdirected or guided to a place far away from your goals? Would you believe me? Of course not. But then think to yourself, why did you even click this video? Surely you didn't search for it, but yet here you are. What drew you here? Whether through intent or not, I'm glad you are in this moment because now you can begin to understand. In this video, we're going to reveal how technology is built, not to aid your life, but to persuade it. We expose how big tech firms are incentivized to use persuasive techniques to keep you coming back for more. In this day and age, we have become the product. We have become the measurement of their success. Our attention, behaviors, and emotional data is now the gold dust of our time. It is a currency now transacted and exploited to retarget our innermost desires even further. We are no longer in the age of information. This is the age of distraction. Throughout history, communication has taken many forms. In ancient times, our ancestors used cave paintings to portray messages and tell stories. These primitive communication tools are now ancient in the wake of the tools we use today. But in order for us to get here, some of the most important inventions occurred in the 19th century. The first of these inventions was known as the electric telegraph, first invented in the 1830s by a man named Joseph Henry. This type of tool allows messages to be sent and received over long distances with no intermediary.
Henry's work in electromagnetism played a role in many other innovations, such as Samuel Morse's telegraph and Alexander Graham Bell's telephone.
The popularity of the electric telegraph was still at its peak when Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone in 1876. The telephone expanded on Henry's inventions and allowed two people to communicate verbally, converting sound into electric signals to be transmitted across locations. This technology was taken further with the creation of radios that increased the number of interconnected peoples within a given area. As we progressed into the 20th century, communication technology rapidly expanded to include other forms such as televisions and computers. One of the most notable communication advancements was introduced in the 1970s, where online written communication expanded into email. This, combined with the nascent World Wide Web, completely changed the game for communication. Here was an opportunity to reach hundreds, if not thousands of people at any given time. Then, things changed even further.
Finding a phone in a car isn't that unusual anymore, except when it leaves the car.
The telephone became mobile 100 years after its creation, in the 1980s. The first versions of the mobile telephone were not intended to be carried around on your person like they are today. These early devices were heavy-duty pieces of equipment that were usually found in cars or trains. Then, in 1983, the first commercially available mobile device was available to the public. This ushered in a new wave of innovation and development for the mobile phone. Mobile devices are seen to be tools to increase productivity and connectivity in our lives. In large parts, they still perform this same function today. However, we cannot say this is the whole picture. Nowadays, companies built on top of these devices are using graver and graver techniques to reel us in. Do you ever get those times when you're just trying to concentrate, but you are constantly distracted? Push notifications were first introduced in Apple's iOS 3 in 2009. This was quickly followed in Windows and Android phones. This offered a new way to inform us of those important updates that we needed to know throughout the day. But as more and more applications were developed on these devices, so did the notification frequency. According to a 2021 study, an average US consumer is faced with 46 push notifications a day. Given that in another study, it takes approximately 23 minutes to refocus on a task when distracted, leaves us very little time to complete the tasks we need to during the day. A research paper carried out in 2016 attempted to shed light on the mental effects of push notifications on our concentration. The conclusion found that the delivery of push notifications produced a decline in task performance, exerting a negative influence on cognitive function and concentration. Let's break down the perspective. If you get distracted 3 times a day, you're likely to lose an hour of your day building back up to focus. This extreme scenario highlights how little time we have and how notifications play a big part in keeping us distracted. Social media applications have long since followed practices from the Bible of persuasive design to keep their users hooked. The holy grail of design methodology dictates a 4-stage model for reeling us in: trigger, action, variable reward, investment. The key element to focus on here is the variable reward aspect. When you randomize a reward schedule for a given action, it increases the number of times a person is likely to take that same action. This is the underlying dynamic behind the high engagement users have with infinite scrolling feeds or pull to refresh functions. The reward for scrolling further provides randomized rewards in the form of unlimited surprises like funny cat videos or slick dance videos. These same tactics are used in slot machines in casinos to keep people hooked on paying for a surprise. In the gambling world, you may be paying with your money, but in these highly addictive applications, which are free, you are paying with your precious time and attention, leaving you distracted and most likely brain dead to think of anything else. Imagine if an application wanted to persuade you over time of a particular agenda they were against. Would you notice?
The world has yet another reason to distrust Facebook. More than 680,000 Facebook users have been subjected to a psychological experiment, and it was done without the knowledge of the participants.
In 2014, Cornell University conducted an experiment with Facebook that used Facebook's newsfeed to identify what's known as social contagion effects. Over a short period, the experiment reduced the number of either positive or negative posts in 700,000 people's newsfeeds. The result found that when users saw more negative posts, their own posts had a higher percentage of words that were negative, the same being true for those who were showing positive posts. While this only provides evidence of one experiment, the results show a clear persuasive effect on the emotional content of user posts. Today, only a handful of people at very few companies have an ability to shape what billions of humans think and do. One person in particular, Mark Zuckerberg, who owns Meta, which comprises of popular apps like Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Facebook, now boasts up to 3.8 billion monthly users. Other notable apps like YouTube and TikTok offer unprecedented access to large numbers of people in our global population. There has never been a categorized form of control in our history in comparison to the level of dominance displayed here. For even a chance at comparison, we have to look into the realms of religion or language for any category that aligns a large number of people. But all these are still dwarfed by the power of a few individuals. If one day they decide to change narrative, over half of the world could soon follow. You've heard of the Ice Age, Stone Age, and maybe even Bronze Age. All of these are theoretical times in Earth's history. Some say we are now in the information age. If you wanted to find out your favourite team's most recent scoreline, or a political crisis on the other side of the world, you could get it in seconds. Even news that you don't wish to actively search for is now provided at lightning speed into your newsfeed. Whether you like it or not, you have to pay attention. Pay attention? What does that even mean? What do we pay? Yes, it's simple enough to say we pay in giving up our time, but what do we actually miss out on? We pay in future ideas foregone. We pay in time spent working on our dreams, goals, and aspirations. We pay in all the things we intended to tend to, but didn't. You pay in all the possible yous you could have been. Economist Herbert Simon said it best when he wrote, "In an information-rich world, the wealth of information means a lack of something else. In short, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. With the increase of information, we see a scarcity in attention like never before. We now see an attack on all levels of our attention, which can be explained in 3 levels of attentional layers. At its most basic, we have Tier 1, our immediate capacity, our awareness and actions for the present moment, also categorized as what we are doing right now. This is undermined by persistent, distracting notifications taking you away from the goals you have for yourself right now. Next is the mid-level of our attentional layers, our wider capacity for navigating life or our values or who we want to be. This is undermined by social comparisons to those that we see on social media or the amount of likes, friends, follows or connections we strive for. This changes how we want to be seen by others. Tier 3, or the highest level of our attentional layer, is our fundamental capacity for intelligence, reasoning, morals, principles, or who you are as a person. This is undermined by the increased prevalence of fake news and misinformation, where we question what is right or wrong. The abundance of information in our lives has the potential to impact our core human faculties, penetrating and manipulating our self-worth, values, and livelihood. The bad thing is, it's only going to get worse. Looking into the future, the trajectory of technological advancements appear to accelerate at lightning speed. Given the fact that the first network was officially created in 1969, we are here 54 years later, in an age where there is 900 million times more computing power in your pocket than the computer that helped put man on the moon. The advancement of technology resembles somewhat of an upward curve with no means of slowing down. We can therefore expect a greater persuasion in our lives, quietly disguised as innovation.
Around the world, artificial intelligence is changing our lives. People use smart technology to answer questions, vacuum and monitor their homes, drive cars, and even bring them food orders. First, how great is the AI threat to our privacy?
Oh, it's an overwhelming threat to our privacy. So people don't realize that all their data is being collected. This is being collected by websites, is being collected by applications. In some instances, they'll do it that way, or in most instances, it's actually given to adware operators to try to tailor advertisements that you see, making it more likely for you to make certain purchases from websites or ads that they show you that are sponsored.
Strengthened draft legislation to include a ban on the use of facial recognition in public spaces, and also called for more transparency around programming and use of generative AI.
In 2017, Facebook released news on developing a brain-computer interface.
So, what if you could type directly from your brain? It sounds impossible, but it's closer than you may realize. And it's just the kind of fluid human-computer interface needed for AR. Even something as simple as a yes-no brain click would fundamentally change our capability. A brain mouse for AR. Think of it more like this. You take many photos, you choose to share some of them. Similarly, you have many thoughts. You choose to share some of them. We're talking about decoding those words, the ones you've already decided to share, by sending them to the speech center of your brain. A silent speech interface, one with all the speed and flexibility of voice, but with the privacy of typed text.
It didn't disclose whether this technology will be used to aid advertising. Similarly, in 2015, Facebook filed patents that enable them to track emotions through smartphone cameras. But this is just the start. We see a greater intrusion into our lives by big tech, ingeniously disguised with the intent of keeping us connected. This has inadvertently allowed our most precious asset, time, to be manipulated to a greater will. Big tech companies measure their successes, projects, and goals in words like impressions, engagements, click-through rates. These appear to be in direct contrast to our own personal goals, like finishing that deadline, starting that project, enjoying that leisure time. I can guarantee not many people wake up in the morning saying, how much time can I possibly spend on social media today? The direct misalignment in our physical human goals and the goals of few social media companies is widening. Technology has been created to aid our lives. Now, I fear the very innovations generations before us have created are now distracting us more than ever. We must now shift our mindset to be aware of the intentions of those in power. And as such, I end this video with a question to you. Where does it end?